The freshly released Special Investigating Unit's report into the dodgy Digital Vibes communication deal points the finger directly at former Health Minister Zweli Mkhize. It finds he acted unlawfully by meddling in the affairs of the administrative authority of the Health Department. We've been waiting for the release of this report for some time now, and top political analyst Sanusha Naidoo has spent the morning reading through some of the major findings here. She joins us now live. Sanusha, to be fair, we only got the report shortly before the show, so we've both just scanned it. But to unpack your initial thoughts, please, on what your takeaways were.
Good morning, Annika. Yeah, I think this was, in a sense, this report was so eagerly awaited because we had seen snippets of the report or reported in the media. I think it's a damning report, one. The implications and the implicated individuals and the information that the SIU has, and based on that information, how they drew the net around the way in which the Digital Vibes contract was awarded, tells you to a large extent how much deviation has happened. We have institutions, we have processes, we have legal frameworks like the PMFA and so forth, which has completely just ignored, and that there's this that National Treasury was misled. And I think to a large extent we come back to the question about, my impressions are that no matter how many institutions and frameworks we have for oversight, one of the key things that comes out in this report was that the minister failed in his oversight. And of course, the National Department of Health is in fact now accountable for this. And so here we have a minister or former minister who took the oath of office to uphold that oath in the best of his ability, in the best of his ethical credibility, and of course completely failed on that score. And I think to me, it just reaffirms what we've been hearing through the Zondo Commission, what we've heard in terms of the Commission on the South African Revenue Service, the Commission regarding issues with regard to public sector management. I mean, it just kind of confirms that in the times that we are in, there is this complete lack of respect and accountability and credibility to say that money can actually be used in this unproductive way, but also be misappropriated for personal interest and gain.
As far as I can see, there isn't a recommendation that the former minister Zweli Mkhize faces criminal prosecution, but there certainly is that recommendation for acting DG Anban Pillay, who has not been suspended yet. He's still in his position. He's still at the Health Department, which is difficult to understand.
Indeed, it seems to me that the report is kind of leaving it to perhaps the president to make the recommendation or to decide whether or not further action will be taken against the minister. But in the context of the DDG, Mr. Dr. Anban Pillay, it seems that he features very prominently in terms of what action needs to be taken against him, because in the report it says that he kind of deliberately misled National Treasury around the deviation of the process in awarding the contract. And of course, it also says that he did that, he committed fraud. So it's going to be very interesting whether or not we're going to see further action against the former health minister. But also remember, there are other members of the executive that have also been now noted in this report, where they've argued that these individuals need to also be investigated, or some kind of action needs to be taken against them. And we know in the week that the DG has now been suspended. The health DG has been suspended. So again, it will be very important to see whether or not these criminal proceedings that the report recommends against Dr. Pillay, how far they'll go. But for me, what's also important is we have to ask the question, is there somebody even above Mr. Pillay that was acting in the sense that say that this is the green light, you need to do this, you need to do that? And I think we've got to understand what the network looks like when we start putting this together in a kind of cohesive context of how it all came about in terms of this Digital Vibes debacle.
Sanusha, I mean, Mkhize is a long-standing civil servant, and people in the know have said to me that they're quite astounded that and wondered if he wasn't under undue or immense pressure to sign off on some of these deviations. But very, very quickly, before we end, because we do have to wrap, what do you think of the timing of the release of the report?
Interesting timing, Annika. I think it comes at a time where the president also has to show that something is being done. So I think the timing is interesting, but I'm not sure what the impact would be. So the timing may be quite strategic in the sense that, you know what, there's this report. We've been sitting on this. It's been long awaited. I've done all my consultation and third-party engagements to make sure that this report, when I set it out, everybody is on board. But at the end of the day, I think it kind of may have a different impact on the ground, on ordinary citizens, the electorate, who may feel that, again, we have been betrayed by a government.
All right, thank you so much, political analyst Sanusha Naidoo. Thank you for your time this morning on the Digital Vibes Report. We're going